Superelevation. What is superelevation? The superelevation is basically the rise of the outer edge of the road as compared to the inner edge of the road. Or it can be defined like an inward tilt provided in cross section of the road in horizontal curve of the road. In order to minimize the effect of centrifugal force acting on the moving vehicle, the superelevation is basically provided in horizontal curve. Actually, I have already told you guys that there always exists, friction on the surface of tire as well as on the surface of road. But when the tire and road come in contact with each other, then the friction usually produce frictional force. And according to Isaac Newton, the frictional force is always a repelling force. That always repels the motion of the bodies. For example, if you are going to kick a ball, after some time the ball will come to rest. So it means that the frictional force is basically a repelling force which brings the bodies to rest. And I have told you that where does this frictional force come from? So that basically comes from the friction on the surface of tire and on the surface of road when both the bodies, tire and road, come in contact with each other. And this force is always, as long as the body moves along a straight path, so this frictional force basically acts in opposite to the motion of the body and try to retard the motion of the body. But when a body moves along a curve, then this frictional force basically acts toward the center of the circle, and that's why this frictional force is then the source of centripetal force which compels the body to move along a circular path. There is another force which is called centrifugal force, and the centrifugal force is always trying to skid the vehicle. That's why centripetal force is always accompanied by an equal and opposite force which is called centripetal force. So how to minimize the effect of centrifugal force so that the vehicle may not skid or overturn? Superelevation is basically provided in horizontal curve. So the superelevation is basically provided in order to increase centripetal force and minimize the effect of centrifugal force, and just in order to provide stability to the moving vehicle when negotiate along a corrode path. Here you can see this is the inner edge and this is the outer edge. The elevation of the outer edge is basically higher as compared to the elevation of the inner edge, and the rise of the outer edge as compared to the inner edge is called superelevation, or inward tilt which has been provided in cross section of the road in horizontal curve is called superelevation. Here you can see this is road surface in horizontal curve, and this is center of gravity, is that point where a total weight of the body acts downward. This P is basically centrifugal force, which is always accompanied by another force called centripetal force. The same vehicle moving in a corrode path, where W is the weight of the vehicle acting on center of gravity, FC is centripetal force because that is directed toward the center of the circle, and here R is basically centrifugal force, which is just the reactive force of the centripetal force. Our centripetal force is accompanied by this centrifugal force which is acting in opposite direction to the center of the circle. Now this is how to get an equation for the superelevation, and this is what I found on internet, but I think I found this proof a bit difficult for the students, so that's why I solved it myself, manually, and included in presentation. So this is what I found on internet, but I have solved it myself as well, and that has been included in presentation. So I would like to present superelevation. So that's what I have done myself. Now here you can see this is basically a horizontal curve. An observer is standing here, and he is basically just behind the vehicle, and observe this vehicle on this side. Now a section has been made exactly at this location, which is called the cross section. Now this is what obtained after taking a cross section in this direction, and the observer is standing at the same place. So this is basically road surface in horizontal curve. This is basically x-axis, and the y-axis is basically the x-axis is on the surface of road like this, and this y-axis is basically perpendicular to x-axis, because this is Cartesian coordinate plane, and both the axes make angle of 90 degree with each other. So this is y-axis and this is x-axis, and this is basically weight of the body which is acting downward, and the weight has been making an angle theta with y-axis. So that has been resolved in two components. In front of theta, that is w sine theta, and this component is w cos theta. Similarly, this P is basically centrifugal force, and this P prime is basically centripetal force. The centrifugal force also making angle of theta with x-axis. So P has two components. One is P sine theta in front of theta, and the other is P cos theta. Now this is basically, there are two tires. One is tire B and the other is tire A, and RA is the reaction of the road or ground on tire A, which is acting upward along y-axis, and RB is the reaction of the road on tire B, which is upward. And similarly here, FA is the friction which is produced due to the contact between tire and road, and FB is also the frictional force which is produced due to contact between tire and road. And these frictional forces FA and FB are basically directed toward the center of the circle. I have told you that the frictional forces are repelling forces and acting opposite to the motion of the body as long as the body moves along a straight path. But in this case, this is curved path. That's why the frictional forces are acting toward the center of the circle, and that's why this frictional force is the source of centripetal force. Is it okay? And this is basically here FA is frictional force which depends upon frictional factor and weight of the body or reaction of the surface, or FB is also frictional force which depends upon friction factor and weight of the body or reaction of the surface. So FA is equal to F into RA, FB is equal to F into RB. Now if we apply first condition of equilibrium, summation of forces toward right is equal to summation of forces toward left. So P cos theta is equal to, here on the screen you can see that P cos theta is equal to RA plus, P cos theta is equal to FA plus FB plus W sin theta. This is, forces acting towards right in x direction is equal to forces equal to the left in x direction, or the summation of the forces toward right is equal to summation of forces toward left. And similarly, the summation of forces upward is equal to summation of forces equal to downward. So in this case, RA plus RB is equal to W cos theta plus P sin theta. This is another condition. So here you can see P cos theta is equal to W sin theta plus FA plus FB. Now FA is equal to F into RA and FB is equal to F into RB. So if we take common F, so we will get P cos theta is equal to W sin theta plus F into RA plus RB. Now applying another condition of equilibrium, summation of forces up is equal to summation of forces down. So RA plus RB is equal to P sin theta plus W cos theta. Now put the value of RA plus RB from equation 3 in equation 2. So this is what we get after putting equation 3 in equation 2. P cos theta is equal to W sin theta plus F into P sin theta plus W cos theta. Now multiply this friction factor with the term inside the parenthesis, so we will get this equation. Now bring this Fp sin theta to the left, so the factors which are left on the right side are Fw cos theta plus W sin theta. Now divide it by W cos theta on both sides, so we will get P by W into 1 minus F tangent theta is equal to F plus tangent theta. Now here you can see tangent theta is basically the slope of the line, which is superelevation. You might have studied the slope of a line which can be determined by m is equal to tangent theta. So tangent theta is basically superelevation, and you know that if you multiply two smaller decimal digit, or if you are going to take the square or cube of a decimal digit, the result will become much smaller. So that's why tangent theta and f are very, very smaller. So if we multiply that, its result becomes very, very smaller. So that's why the product of f and tangent theta is supposed to be equal to 0. So P by W into 1 minus 0 and is equal to F plus E, or bring this to or P by W is equal to F plus E, and P is equal to, P is basically centripetal or centrifugal force. So P is equal to mv square by R, and W is equal to mg is equal to F plus E. F is fraction factor and E is superelevation. So this m will get cancelled with this one, with this m. So the only thing which is left is V square beta Rg is equal to F plus E. Bring F to the left side, so V square beta Rg minus F is equal to E. So this is superelevation. E is equal to V square beta Rg minus F, where V is basically design speed, which is measured in meter per second. F is friction factor, R is radius of the curve, usually in meter, and G is acceleration due to gravity in meter per second. So in this equation has to be used to determine superelevation. If all, for example, if velocity, radius of the curve, and acceleration due to gravity and friction factor are known, then we can determine superelevation. For example, design speed of vehicle in a curve of radius 100 meter is 50 km per hour. Here radius of the curve is 100 meter, but velocity is in kilometer per hour. So in this case we have to multiply, because 1 kilometer is equal to 1000 meters. So we have to multiply 50 by 1000 and divide it by 3600 seconds. So if we multiply 50 by 1000 and divide it by 3600, so its result will be then into meter per second. So speed will be expressed in the unit of meter per second just by multiplying it by 1000 and dividing by 3600. And if the lateral friction factor is 0.15, calculate. So in this question we have radius, speed, and friction factor, and answer has been given to you guys. So superelevation can be determined by V square beta Rg minus, because in equation the remaining parameter are known. The only thing which you need to determine is superelevation. Just put what you already have, so the thing which you need to determine will automatically be determined. In the second case, what should be the friction factor if superelevation is 0? In the same equation, if you put superelevation equal to 0, so the friction factor will be determined, because that will be the only parameter left which you will need to determine. Similarly, example problem 2 and problem 3 are also the same as problem 1. So try to solve these problems yourself.